To what extent does generationalism and immigration damage the family function of immigrants in America? Although immigrating to America can provide more opportunities for immigrants, it can create dysfunction that limits the possibility of success due to generationalism, classism, and the idea of the anchor child. Generationalism establishes a biased power dynamic that restricts a child's voice within an immigrant family. In his novel On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous, Ocean Vuong describes how after coming out to his mother, she said, "Then what do you like? You're 17. You don't like anything. You don't know anything." Vuong 130. The implication of generationalism hinders immigrant parents from recognizing their child's voice is important, causing the child to speak up less and less for themselves due to them feeling inferior to their parents. In his short story, Why Don't We Complain, William Buckley Jr. describes how we are reluctant to make our voices heard because we are afraid that our case is unjust, too trivial to justify the horrors of confrontation with authority. Cohen 71. Americans are apprehensive to disagree with the majority on account of the perception that our opinion is inferior and will easily be judged. Furthermore, Buckley Jr. speaks on the fear of confrontation, which not only limits the perspective of the narrow-minded, but also increases the lack of opinions and promotes internalized hatred towards oneself and others. Secondly, classism promotes unhealthy living conditions, power dynamics, and constraints on obtaining a higher-paid job. Vuong speaks of his mother's experience working at a nail salon by saying, "Her lungs could no longer breathe without swelling, her liver hardening with chemicals, her joints brittle and inflamed from arthritis." Vuong 80. This emphasizes how immigrants in lower-class jobs are more likely to undergo health issues, which can hinder the main homemaker from providing for their family, and it adds more strain on the family to help combat these health concerns. Classism is also intertwined with racial stereotypes, caused by the assumption that skin color and being born in America classifies superiority. For example, in the dissertation Symbolic Racism and Social Dominance Orientation Across Generations, Gender and Race, Fred Imuentinyan Jr. denotes how advantaged groups use their dominance to maintain their status and upper hand by using racism. Imuentinyan 48,50. He points out the detrimental effects of racism towards lower-class individuals, increasing the lack of respect or financial assistance for them in the workplace. Similarly, in the volume Group Relationships and Behavior, Kimberly Hartman conveys this by saying, "Even though many people immigrate to the U.S. in pursuit of greater economic opportunities, the majority end up as part of the working class and remain there." Hartman 220. The increasing divide between the lower and higher classes hinders the chance for immigrants to surpass the working class, placing immigrants in a fixed financial situation that they can never get out of. Lastly, the idea of the anchor child gives rise to immigrant parents who abandon everything for their child, ultimately causing the child to experience intense pressure, loneliness, and a crisis of identity. For example, when Vuong notices his mother struggling to communicate with the butcher, he says, "I began my career as our family's official interpreter. I took off my language and wore my English so that others would see my face and my mother's." Vuong 32. Vuong experiences issues of anxiety and depression as a result of the pressure to help his family survive in America. In addition, when Vuong became his family's interpreter, he took off his language and wore his English, displaying how, on account of having to surrender his native tongue, he also severed an important connection with his culture. This is attributed to immigrant parents overlooking the needs of their children and prioritizing their own financial success and survival. Also in the volume I Am Going to Europe Tomorrow, Philip Lalander and Marcus Herz convey how anchor children end up as orphans, longing for family, friends, or other important people they have left behind, and how hard it can be to reunite with their families. Lander and Herz 96. By immigrating to America alone, these children struggle with how hard it can be to reunite with their families, which increases feelings of loneliness, estrangement, causing a lack of belonging and imposter syndrome. Overall, generationalism, classism, and the concept of the anchor child contribute to damaging the family function of immigrants in America. Thank you.